Welcome to the latest edition of Braves Central. I'm Barrett Sallee. He is Chris Dimino. We are here for you before every single series. Braves just took 2 of 3 from a really good Brewers team, and now it's out to the West Coast, the last West Coast trip. In fact, the last time the Braves will be outside of the Eastern or Central time zones. So that is good, especially considering down the stretch we don't have to make those long trips across the country. Good pitching matchup tonight. It's a Padres team that has been up and down all season long, but Chris, still a dangerous Padres team, even though they have not hit the way maybe a lot of people expected.
Yeah, they're convincing themselves now out there that Manny Machado was back. He had 5 RBI this weekend in the game, and their manager Craig Stammen says the reason I haven't moved him down is, and I quote, "I trust Manny Machado." Well, it's been a little bit, and a lot of other things have gone wrong with this team, including sort of like San Francisco, where you have a lot of names, and I'm not telling you they're in the same boat. They're better than them. But it's a lot of names and a lot of money poured into those names, and there's been an underachieve going on. And a lot of this goes back to what people believe Machado did during the offseason. He went to the Aaron Judge guy, Richard Schenck, I think is his name, and he's the guy that's got those crazy videos, and he shows you what he wants to do and wants you to do. And supposedly they've worked with him to try to break some of the habits that he formed this offseason, because it's been really terrible. Now, the home runs are there. He's got 13, I think, now, 40-plus RBI, but it's not been, he's hitting under 200. This goes back to last year, too, which is probably why he decided he needed to make changes. Might have been a little bit too much. They do believe they're trying to get him back to a little bit more of his normal, this is how you became an all-star type swing. Tatis, we knew the home runs weren't there. And let me just give you the numbers real quick. If you're wondering offensively, how bad is it for San Diego? Remember, they spend money. A.J. Preller been a guy that's pushed chips into the middle of the table. They've had their chances. They were the ones who really should have beat the Los Angeles Dodgers and been in a position to go to the World Series themselves. Batting average, 30th. At-bats per game, 30th. Plate appearances, 30th. Runs per game, 30th. Hits per game, 30th. Home runs per game, 21st. Doubles, 25th. Triples, it doesn't matter, but they're 19th. RBI, 28th. Walks, 22nd. Strikeouts, 20th. Sacrifice hits, sacrifice flies. I mean, there's really not much going on for this team offensively yet, because the National League has had some underachievers as well scattered throughout the league. They find themselves in a position at a few games over 500 to be a team that's certainly in wild card contention. And if that's A.J. Preller's sign that, yeah, I'm going to go do something, believe me, A.J. Preller's going to do something at the trade deadline.
Yeah, he will. And those numbers are just crazy for a team that does have Machado and Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. And this Padres team was neck and neck, up and down with the Dodgers for the first, month and a half of the season, and then that long losing streak, and they really haven't been able to recover. And at this point, looking at those standings, I don't know if they can recover, considering they are chasing the Dodgers. So it is wild card or bust for this team.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care about beating the Dodgers at this point. They've just got to stay alive. And look, I'll tell you the name that's going to be most associated with them is Sandy Alcantara. There is no doubt in my mind that if A.J. Preller is looking to do a deal, now I have no idea what the minor leagues are like. I have no idea what the Marlins are going to want. But you're going to see Alcantara's name thrown in. They think Walker Buehler might be back, who's filthy talented but just can't stay healthy. And on with their pitching. But slugging percentage, on base plus 30th, batted balls in play 30th, isolated power 23rd. They are really bad offensively. They're lucky they've got Mason Miller. They're lucky they've had a couple of guys in the middle of that bullpen not blow leads. And they're lucky that they've squeezed enough out of their starting pitching to be in a position where, the hell with the division, just find a way to get to the postseason and see if you can actually top-of-the-line pitch with maybe another acquisition, and see if you can get these guys hot.
Yeah, and you mentioned the offensive struggle. Like you said, Machado drove in 5 runs in a win over the Rangers last weekend. Fernando Tatis only has 2 home runs. We'll get to him in just a I know Chris has thoughts on him, but a 338 average and an 848 OPS in June. So the power numbers aren't there for Fernando Tatis, but at least lately, what have you done for me lately? Fernando Tatis is doing a little bit more than maybe he has at the beginning of the season. Now, Jackson Merrill, again, a guy, 216, but 8 homers and 31 RBI. So there are guys, like you said, the average numbers are just horrendous. But Sheets, 12 home runs, 33 RBIs, batting .230. So in certain respects, their guys are doing what they're supposed to do, at least to a point when you consider how bad they are offensively. But Fernando Tatis, this is a guy who they were counting on to be their centerpiece. He went, 2 months without a home run? He's only got 2 right now. He's hitting for average lately, but that's not why he's there. Well, that's not why he's there at all.
Yeah, the one good thing that's happened is he does have 18 stolen bases. So if you walk him or if he's actually hitting a single, he's been standing on second base a little bit more often than not because the 18 stolen bases are a good number. But you better make up for it if you're not hitting homers, if you're not hitting doubles themselves. He's actually used his legs a little bit more. I just believe that, again, they've been close. Good team. Acquisition, good team. But they haven't gotten over the hump. And A.J. Preller's only had one job out there. People want to play out there. It's a great place, great city to do it in. The stands have been full for the most part for the last few years. They're the only game in town, so the fan base certainly rallies around them. But I don't know how much longer. I don't know if they're chasing their tails. I think Machado might have 5 years left at $39 million.
Sounds right.
Like, maybe I'm right about that number, but I know it's an ungodly amount of money still left. So they do have to straighten him out because it's not even like you could offer him and say, hey, you know what? A talented player, take the contract, because the contract is bigger than the talent is right now. So my guess is he's going to go to the ownership group and he's going to say, I need a little bit more, and we're going to give up. And prospects for parades, I'm all for it, especially if you've never won one of these things, and especially if you think these guys who are getting a tick older are not going to be as good as they've been. And look, the Tatis thing, since he got popped, and let's be honest, the Profar thing that I brought up last year that was like, what? He was working out with Tatis and his father? Yeah. He seems to be a different player. He was on a path. Face of baseball. Manny Machado had the same thing. And Machado, a lot of people went with he doesn't run anything out. And he's sort of one of those guys. He's a little bit of a Jake. He has post-game press conference bullshit that I think is just over the top. He decides he's going to challenge media people. And I'm not telling you at some points there aren't dumb questions. But he's become sort of that guy on top of everything else. And Tatis, I don't want to call him a shell of the player he was, but he's not certainly what he was supposed to be at this point. And they're your 2 biggest stars who are supposed to be the 2 biggest examples. And I got one guy who, again, just seems to want to fight with people now in the media more than anything else. And I got another guy who I got to question whether he was really ever going to be the player, or was it, was he enhanced? Was he getting help? And now all of a sudden you go, okay, good player, certainly a talented player. He also then sued the guys that gave him $2 million because he made a deal with them to give up 10% of his contract. And he was walking around going, I can't believe they're taking my money when it was a contract. Like, of course it was held up in court. You did it. You wanted a couple of million up front. They gave it to you. You promised 10%, $340 million deal, $34 million goes to them. And it seemed distractive. It just seems like for a great place to play in a place that everybody should be in a good mood, there's a lot of bullshit that goes on around that team. And again,
there are.
They have, if Mason Miller's not the best closer in baseball, he's 20 for 20 in saves. He actually missed that series. He had a family matter. He is back, though, for this one. They need to get the ball to him. We say this all the time with the Braves. Get me to the best part, most consistent part of my team. That is the guys at the back end. For Miller, it's really, really the back end. He's only got 20 saves. Now, I'm not telling you that's not a good amount at this time of the year, but just think what it could have been had they been in a position to give him an opportunity for more.
Yeah, and so hopefully we don't see Mason Miller because we don't want to get to him. The pitching staff for the Braves, that's been a little bit of a point of contention, I guess. That's how you would call it. Bryce Elder, 8 runs in the second inning. Now, I will say that outing, he did get to the 6th. So you go to San Diego for these next 3. The bullpen, not necessarily a full reset, but Ronaldo Lopez is the only one who pitched yesterday. So at least you have a bullpen that almost certainly will be pretty rested, and pretty much everybody might be available. So Bryce did that, but these pitching matchups against San Diego, where you have Grant Holmes tonight, you have JR Ritchie tomorrow, and then you have Martin Perez, who again got lost in the shuffle on Friday as one of the better stories of that dramatic win. But the Grant Holmes is at a point now where I think you have to be concerned because the walks are back. JR Ritchie, look, it's not a knock against him, but he's a rookie. Many people thought he might not even be at this point right now. So the pitching matchups don't necessarily look great for the Braves in this series. So when you factor in what happened to Bryce yesterday and what's happened to Bryce over the last, 3-4 starts, it is, one of those things where you have to start to wonder, okay, Hurston Waldrop, he's had 3 rehab outings now. Ronaldo Lopez, I don't know if he's fixed himself mentally, but he has looked okay for the most part, except for one meltdown. Is Didier Fuentes is out there. I don't think they're going to move Didier Fuentes. I think they really like him where he is as he's progressed into a higher leverage reliever out there. Do the Braves go out and get somebody? Are Grant Holmes struggles and Bryce Elder struggles, going to press Alex Anthopoulos to go get somebody, maybe give up another prospect or sweeten a deal that he might have with another team to get a frontline starter or a true number 2 starter? This 3-game stretch and really the first 2 games with Ritchie and with Grant, I think will tell the tale and will, I think, indicate, okay, where are the Braves? Where is the Braves starting rotation in reality, and what does need to happen at the trade deadline?
I do think San Diego's hitters meeting before this game today, before the series, they're going to believe that if they're truly going to get hot, and by the way, it was a bad road trip for them. They were 4-5 in that road trip, and they play the Braves and then they play the Dodgers. So if you're going to have a hitters meeting, you're going to try to make it upbeat. I'm going to look at Grant Holmes, and I'm going to look at JR Ritchie's 1 inning where he gave up 5, and I'm going to say, okay, guys, this is it. It's not going to get easier. Martin Perez is a different kind of cat, but they have the Dodgers after this. There's no look ahead. It's not like San Diego could say it's not college football, but you're playing a directional school, and Ohio State's on the other side of it. So I'm not telling you there's an overlook, but I do think the hitters meeting will be, let's make sure we get Holmes, let's make sure we get Ritchie, and then let's make sure Mason Miller pitched in a couple of games, and let's get our offense more squared. Because the Machado 5 RBI game was like, and then you read the whole thing, you go, they were 4-5 on a road trip. They weren't very good, and it is the Braves and the Dodgers coming up this week, so they're going to have to be better because they lost to lesser competition than the Braves and the Dodgers. So I think the hitters meeting will be, let's jump at least 2 of their starters. Perez is a softer thrower. Let's make sure we jump on him. I think it'll be an upbeat kind of thing for them to start the week. Now it's up to the Braves pitchers to actually shut it down. If you look at, and you can, unless you have bona fides, we had seen for the first half of the season, Mizorowski and Harrison. If I look at Zach Wheeler, who picked up another win, by the way, and don't look now. Bryce Harper's woken up. Schwarber's out. He's hitting bombs. He's up to 29. Wheeler had a really good start. He's 7-1 now. Sanchez has been as good as anybody in the National League this side of Mizorowski. He's as good as anybody in baseball. So there's like other things that you go, do I just worry about me or do I look around the league? Now, it's not a panic look, but we're getting to July 1st. And July 1st, teams will assess who they are, where they are, and what you might do. And that's why I think Alcantara to San Diego might be a Preller-type deal where he just might overpay, whatever the overpay is. He might just say, give me a buy now and try to buy him a few weeks earlier. In terms of the Braves, I look at life like my kids. My kids have known forever, it's like a college football poll. Week to week, who's number 1 and who's number 2, and sometimes who's just another receiving votes. What did you do? Did you piss me off? How'd you treat it? How much do I like you? And Martin Perez is slotted as your 2 right now. Bryce Elder sort of lost the ability to say he's the second best guy in the staff. And with all due respect to any and all parties, I need Chris Sale to be a tick better. I need Perez to actually, to be a 2. Yeah, you do have to go get somebody. I mean, the bottom line is you do have to go get somebody. There is a want, but there's also a need, and it's got to be a 3 and up guy. It's not a back end of the rotation guy. Unless you believe Waldrop, unless you believe, Elder's going to find it, unless you believe that Perez is a bona fide number 2, knock every piece of wood in your house that Chris Sale is healthy and ready to go and is throwing as well as he has, for the most part of his time here. The Braves do need a starter. Where are you going to go? Who's available? Wild card races, July 1st, July 15th. The teams got themselves back in it. Does somebody hold tight to a guy on July 15th through, July 31st? That team all of a sudden turns it around. There are 3 teams in front of them stink. This is not going to be easy. And if you're assessing the landscape, I can give you all the names, but I can't tell you that any of them are going to be available because there are going to be teams that make this, this idea that guy's untouchable. I heard it with Logan Webb. I've heard it with a couple of other guys. I think Alcantara, the Marlins are going to say out loud, he's not going anywhere. Well, of course they are. They're going to try to drive up the price if he truly is available. We know the list of names. I'm just telling you, the list is not going to be a list because a couple of those guys are not going to be available.
Yeah, and don't look now. The Marlins, best record in baseball in June. They're thinking right now, okay, can we make a run? Can we keep this up? Is there a wild card in their future as well? So that could have a big impact on Sandy Alcantara and maybe some of their other stars as well. Now, from a historic standpoint, the Padres and the Braves don't really have a massive history, although, for guys that are older like us, we do remember 98 in the Kevin Brown series against the Padres. But most recently, the Padres gave the Braves fits in the first series of last year when the Braves started 0-7, and then, of course, knocked the Braves out of the playoffs in 2024. So from a recency standpoint, I wouldn't say there's a lot of get back at this team from some of the guys who were here for both of those. But they're, from the fans' perspective, yeah, of all the teams we don't like, the Padres aren't the top of the list, but they're up there, at least in the top 4 or 5.
They've been looked at as an obstacle, and you don't like your obstacles. There was a time where you go, okay, let's look at the brackets for the postseason. Who would I like to avoid? And there's been a couple of times where you go, boy, I don't think I want to play San Diego because, again, talent, names, budget, get better, acquisition at the trade deadline. All those things have been in play. Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to not like them. I think a couple of their personalities, I think Tatis and Machado at the front of the line in that regard, you look and you go, is that guy really somebody that I'd root for? Yeah, it's easy to sort of root against that. It's easy to root against the guy who got popped. It's easy to root against the guy who had a reputation for not hustling, or a guy who's now just sitting in his locker doing whatever it is Machado does sometimes. So that's fine. It adds a little bit of intrigue to the whole thing. But really the thing that it was for a couple of years was, wow, San Diego certainly looks like they could be loaded. The Yu Darvish thing, not being there, that hurts them this year. But they look like they were built, and they took the Dodgers down to the wire. They look like they were built to win a World Series. They haven't done it yet. There are a couple of teams like that. That Philadelphia Phillies got to push it in. San Diego's got to push it in. There are a couple of teams that absolutely have to prove that to their fan base. Not only are they willing to make deals, but they got to figure out, did they get the right manager in place? Did you have the right mix of guys? Do you have the right back end of the bullpen? And in Mason Miller, San Diego certainly does if he stays healthy. So it'll be interesting. I'm not a big bully. I like the idea of San Diego being viable, or I have for years, because I just said it just feels like it's a smallish market. That's not really a small market, but it's a market that absolutely, from a fan base point of view, best I can tell, they've earned it. They've turned the turnstiles. They've actually bought into this team. They just haven't gotten the ultimate reward. And those are the teams with a general manager like A.J. Preller. Those are the teams that you just go, oh, okay, he's going to do something. More than anybody else. There are teams that need to do something. More than anybody else, Dave Dombrowski and A.J. Preller are the guys who will do something.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting series. Before the Braves head up to San Francisco. Now, for the Padres, it's Michael King tonight, and then officially TBD and TBD the next 2 games. So, look, the Padres have given us fits, but this is a team that offensively has been really rough lately. So if we can see if we can get the Braves go and get 2 out of 3 after taking 2 out of 3, especially those first 2, which were quite challenging against the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yep. Looking forward to it. And again, as we said, San Diego here, and then they've got the Dodgers after the Braves. So big week for them. We'll find out if the Braves soften them up a little bit over the next 3 days and beat them up, where the thing with the Dodgers becomes a little bit tougher for them because of what the Braves do to them over the next 3 nights. It is late baseball going on, so Braves fans, either get your naps in or understand we'll be around on 680 The Fan, the flagship station, to make sure and ensure that you have all the details if you don't make it all the way through. Highlights included. All right, Barrett and I want to thank Marietta Toyota right up the street here, Cobb Parkway South from the Battery, only about a mile and change away. The best in terms of family-owned and operated car dealership for 51 years. What does that mean? Well, you don't have the power of a bunch of car dealerships behind you. You better do it right, and Marietta Toyota has. That's why they have a pre-owned lot. That's why they have a new lot. That's why there's more bays in the service area, why they have a full collision center. Your ability to rent a car. Don't forget, if this summer you're going to be going away and you don't want to put mileage on yours, you can see Jared and everybody over there and get yourself a rental from Marietta Toyota, making an extended test drive, as they say. New vehicles, pre-owned vehicles, cars, trucks, electric vehicles, all of that is happening, but understand the messaging. There's an opportunity to get more car than you thought you were going to get. That's what Marietta Toyota has built 3.5 generations of repeat business on, and why they've also grown the way they have is because they treat the customer the way they're supposed to be treated. It's a big-time family decision to buy a vehicle. Make sure you're actually doing the best you can for you and your family. And when you're talking about pre-owned vehicles with warranties and guarantees, that's checked. And if you're talking about insurance being less because of the safety features on Toyotas, you're also there, including the buyback, because the hold value on Toyotas is as good as anybody's in the business. So we want to thank Marietta Toyota, right up the street, Cop Parkway South from the Battery.
Yeah, I get a little jealous when I drive into those Dickey Broadcasting reserved spots in the orange deck and I see that Tacoma sitting there, and man, I'm jealous. I love it.
Listen,
they gave you a very good ride.
I wish I was more of an adventurous guy where I would actually say I'm taking it up Stone Mountain, which I believe is probably illegal. I drive it through the Chattahoochee, which is probably just not good. But it does have that snorkel thing. If you actually want to off-road and you want to get into water, there's this thing called a snorkel system where the water does pump out. You can push things, you can pull things, you can tow things, bigger truck bed, full generator in the back. You can actually do more camping and more off-road stuff than ever before with the Trail Hunter. And it's funny you say that because they decided to take the Tacoma to a brand new level, and that's what the Trail Hunter absolutely is. So if you're looking for an MSRP, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 off one of those, make sure you go see my guys, Jared and everybody over at Marietta Toyota.
Well, Chris, I highly encourage you to drive it up Stone Mountain because I'm pretty sure that's a felony. And so if you are in jail, then I can drive it. And I think we'll all be good. I think we'll all, you won't be happy, but I will, and my family will.
There might be an impounding, and at that point, I might not be driving that Trail Hunter anymore. So I'm going to actually stay away from Stone Mountain or all national parks. I don't want to necessarily do something I'm not supposed to do. But understand, that truck has an ability to do it all. It's just my reservation of, at 63 years old, not wanting to be in jail, that might stop me from doing it all.
We don't have a lot of goals in life, but don't get felonies is up there. That's top 5 in terms of the goals I have in life. All right, we'll be back before the Giant series on Friday. Enjoy your late night feeling right days watching the Braves this next 3-game set. So we will be back on Friday, hopefully with a series win. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Share the show. Let everybody know where you get the best Braves coverage in all of the land. And of course, you can hear Chris and I before every single game on the 4 Leadoff Show and also on the flagship 680 The Fan. We will talk to you on Friday.
At Marietta Toyota, we proudly supported youth athletics in our community with quality vehicles like the 2025 Camry, built for winning teams like yours. Marietta Toyota, we've been here. We're going to be here for you.